The end.
This is Dusty.
You again. Oh.
You know... No, actually, I'll tell you after.
Hello. Come into this incredibly messy studio. So here, as we come in the studio, we've got a wall with all the work I've been doing the last few months. And here we have some landscapes I've been doing at St Arnaud. And here we have not beetles, but cicadas. I'm going to turn that into an oil painting. This is a landscape near Albury, and here is a lot of the burial poles, larrakitch, that have been made, some of them by my sister Mulken Wapanda, who I have done several exhibitions with. My name is John Wolseley. I'm a very old artist who lives in the Whipstick Forest. I spend my days drawing the insects in the forest, but also the shape of the land, and also then I sometimes make books like this one. And I started off with a lovely sheet of white paper, and I had some tremendous fun doing what I call sploshing. Sploshing, and this is how I start a lot of my paintings. I've mixed up some sort of grey, which I splosh on, and then there's another paint here, which is a mix, which is actually something called tiger's eye, can you believe it? And then I try and remember which brush is what. Then I just splosh lots more water here. This is sort of splosh and dribble. So I'm covering the whole thing. And then a bit more of this. You know, I'm just having fun. Now, I let that dry. So here we are. This page here is going to be the title page. And so all I'm going to put on it is the title of this book, which is How the Greedy Grub Becomes a Darkling Beetle. That is a particular kind of beetle which lives in the forest outside my studio. And it's got this lovely name, and I don't know why. It is a darkling beetle. And then I'm going to put my name. Now I have to try and remember what my name is. John Wolseley. And then I'm going to stick this beetle, which I've already drawn on another bit of paper and cut out. A lot of my work is done by me taking rubbings of bits of wall or bits of ground or a dead tree, and I see that beetles have laid their eggs, and you can see where the little grubs have hatched, and each grub gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what I have had such marvellous fun doing is putting say Japanese paper, and then with my big lump of graphite rubbing. And what's so exciting is that as I'm rubbing, I'm actually showing the paths of all these beetle grubs. So the eggs were there, and then wiggle, 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 and the paths never cross over. And so this is a rubbing I did from these leaves. So I already cut up lots of bits of paper, and then you stick it down there, and then you find your bit of graphite. But you can do this with a pencil. I'm just going to have tremendous fun. And you see the actual leaf is coming out. That's what I did with this bit of paper here, which I'm going to stick onto here. This technique is called rubbing, or else it's called by a French word, which is frottage. Now I'm going to carry on with my writing. Two darkling beetles met one day on a tree by a lake. And this is because where I live here in the Whipstick Forest, there's a lake and there's trees around it, and in the summer you often see lots of beetles buzzing around in the branches. So now I'm going to draw on top of this other thing I've stuck there. I'm going to draw a lake. And actually it's funny, this kind of paper, it bleeds. Do you see that that's happening? But that's all quite fun. So I'm going to have the tree. The tree is almost in the lake. Oh my goodness me, it is bleeding rather a lot. I think I might. Do you know what I'm going to do? It's bleeding so much, I'm going to take this off. Yeah. You see, this is what I like. I like sort of playing like this. So you stick something on and then you think it doesn't work, and then it does. And then we'll have a few swans, I think. No, or is that a pelican? What do you think? I think it's not sure whether it's a swan or a pelican. And here's lots of beetles flying about. They danced, and they flew. And talked about the children they would make. And now I'm going to stick this rubbing, which I made from the surface of the tree. I've actually selected it from the large number of rubbings that I've done, which are hanging in a clothesline over there in my studio. And now I'm going to put several grubs, some which have been drawn, onto this where they would be, so that they have their little face, which they've got these amazing jaws, which they slowly eat their way through the wood. And so here's number one. I was thinking of giving these beetles their different names, but I think perhaps we'll just call them beetle number one, beetle number two, grub number three. This word collage is actually from the French, And I think it means, it comes from coller, to glue. And so a lot of artists use this thing of pasting things down and collage as a way of making their art. So I'll glue this bit down now as well. There are 8 baby grubs hatched under the bark. They wiggled and ate like young beetles should. They ate and made paths in the wood. They just ate all day. They never had baths. They never crossed over. They stayed on their paths. They built their cocoons and grew wings and some legs. Off they went out over the lake. Off they went out over the lake. Na 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 na. Ah, ho, ho. There are 3 different things that I've stuck on to make this book. 3 different kinds of drawings or prints. Sometimes it's me, as I am here, drawing a beetle with pen and ink, but now some of them are I've done a lino cut, and even some of them I've done a potato cut. But here we have one which I did with another kind of printing, which is actually an etching, and then I stuck that down. And the third kind of image that I have on here is when I've done a line drawing like that, and then I've painted it in watercolour, and then I've stuck that on. So this really is a fascinating game of sticking different kinds of fragments onto the book. Ning nong ning nong ning nong ning ning nong nong ning ning nong. How the greedy grub becomes a darkling beetle, by John Wolseley. 2 darkling beetles met one day on a tree by a lake. They danced and they flew, and they talked about the children they would make. One night in the park, in the warm and the dark, there 8 baby grubs hatched under the bark. They wiggled and ate like young beetles should. They ate and made paths in the wood. They just ate all day. They never had baths. They never crossed over. They stayed on their paths. They built their cocoons and grew wings and some legs. And then off they went out over the lake. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Kids Home Publishing.